Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. I am Sandy Shellis, your host, and we have a packed show tonight. I'm really happy that you are here with us to talk about this new report. And so, the first half of the show is going to be about the report. We're going to talk about the report. I'm going to show you the report. And then I have a couple of articles. And then the second half of the show is going to address some of the reasons why the things that need to be done for mitigation and changing are not going to be done, possibly. You can never say never. I don't ever say never, but I give my reasons why. I definitely will give my reasons why. And I want to know. I want to tell you something. I was out the other day, and I've been in the garden, and I got a tick bite. It's right in here. I got a tick bite. I realized it fell out the sink, but I decided since I got the bullseye rash that I would go to the urgent care, and I got the doxycycline for 2 whole weeks. So I won't get Lyme. I won't get Lyme, but I'm glad I caught it. And so this is just one more thing that is happening is the exacerbation of ticks and the diseases, and there's even more diseases. So I suppose a future show will have to do that. Good evening, Kim and Jean. It's great to have you moderating, and Looney Tunes, thank you so much, and good evening to every one of you. So we're going to get started. I want to bring up uh, the information. So hang on. Hang on. Here we go. I have got lots to go, lots to do. So we're going to start. It was in Bioscience, the journal Bioscience, and William J. Ripple is the main guy. And I was lucky enough to discuss with him. Well, I wasn't discussing. He came on to the Climate Crisis Club and he talked to us the other day, and it was really nice because he's a lovely person, and I think that this report, this 2024 State of the Climate Report, Perilous Times on Planet Earth, it's more of the same, and you see that the people that are in it: William Ripple, Christopher Wolfe, Julian Gregg, Johann Rockstrom, Michael Mann, Naomi Oreskes, Timothy Lenton, Stefan Rahmstorff, Thomas Newsom. There's quite a few. And they are the who's who. But this was done in Oregon at Oregon State University in Corvallis, which is very cool. And I had just happened to be in Oregon, a few weeks ago for my brother's birthday, and it was pretty cool. So let me go through this, but I'm really not going to do. Paul Beckwith already did this in his way. Okay, Paul Beckwith, if you're not familiar with his channel, he's very sciencey. And then Collapse Chronicles also went over it, but in a very different way. His is more the we are so fucked way. Well, I'm kind of in the middle. All right. I am kind of in the middle, but I'll start with just telling you that they start with we are on the brink of an irreversible climate disaster. And as long as you've been following this channel, we have been talking for 7 years about this irreversible climate disaster, and they use the word brink of. Okay. Witnessed record-breaking sea surface temperatures, the hottest northern hemisphere extratropical summer in 2,000 years, and the breaking of many other climate records. So their aim was to communicate directly to researchers, policymakers, and the public. As scientists and academics, they feel it's their moral duty and that of other institutions all of their institutions to alert humanity to the growing threats that we face as clearly as possible and to show leadership in addressing them. So they do. They look at the planetary signs. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did the planetary boundaries report, Johann Rockstrom, and now I am doing this one, William Ripple, who actually really is lovely, and I'm going to invite him on the show because I do think he would be a great guest for us, a fascinating guest for us. So they go and they look at the trends and the climate anomalies, world surface air temperature, Antarctic sea ice extent, global sea ice extent, world ocean surface temperature anomaly, North Atlantic sea surface temperature. And I could, show you all these in different, in bigger, but it's not like you haven't seen all these. And again, Paul Beckwith did a great job on his analysis. I just want to go through this and I really want to talk more, I'd say, about the social aspect of this report and what's going to happen, what they expect to happen and what won't happen, really. And why? Because the second half I've got lots of videos and lots of little things that could make you laugh, could make you cry. And so they go through all of the different time frames, the disasters that have gone through. But again, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. All right. What I want to do is tell you, first of all, William Ripple, they have a conservation biology institute, which is the good stuff, which is forging a path for ecological sustainability, if it's even possible at this time. But they're trying. And those are the people who love the planet, who love the earth. And that's the kind of work I think is very important, much more so than all the techno-utopian crap. So this is an encapsulation. Earth's worsening signs indicate a critical and unpredictable phase of the climate crisis. An international coalition led by Oregon State University scientists conclude in its annual report published the other day that the Earth's worsening vital signs indicate a critical and unpredictable new phase of the climate crisis and that decisive action is needed and fast, which is the sticking point for me. But we will get there. The collaboration, directed by OSU's William Ripple and former postdoctoral researcher Christopher Wolfe, outlines areas where policy change is needed: energy, pollutants, nature, food, and economy. In the 2024 State of the Climate Report, Perilous Times on Planet Earth, published in Bioscience, and of course, energy, pollutants, nature, food, and economy 50 years ago, right? A large portion of the very fabric of our life on our planet is imperiled, said Ripple, a distinguished professor in the Oregon State University College of Forestry. Ecological overshoot, taking more than the Earth can safely give, has pushed the planet into climactic conditions more threatening than anything witnessed even by our prehistoric relatives. We're already in the midst of abrupt climate change upheaval, which jeopardizes life on Earth like nothing humans have ever seen, he added. For example, Hurricane Helene caused more than 200 deaths in the southeastern United States and massive flooding in a North Carolina mountain area thought to be safe from climate change. So, of 35 planetary vital signs the scientists use to track climate change annually, 25 are at record extremes. So, the planetary boundaries, what if we crossed 16? These are 25. The hottest days ever came in July 2024, and fossil emissions are at an all-time high, as are human population and ruminant livestock population, the climate shows. Human population is increasing at a rate of approximately 200,000 per day. And the number of ruminant livestock, hoofed mammals such as cattle, sheep, and goats that produce greenhouse gases and are energy intensive to raise rises roughly 170,000 each day. So at least address they addressed overpopulation, which I think was good. The annual consumption of fossil fuels climbed by 1.5% in 2023. Go energy independence. Mainly because of big jumps in coal, 1.6%, and oil use, 2.5%, the report indicates. Renewable energies use increased in 2023. Solar, wind consumption together were up 15% in over 2022. But the use of renewables is just 1/14 of fossil fuel use. And the recent rise in the use of renewables is attributable mainly to increased demand rather than because they are replacing fossil fuels. The report shows that the annual tree cover loss globally rose from 22.8 million hectares in 2022 to 28.3 million in 2023. And based on global year-to-date averages, the concentrations of atmospheric carbon dioxide and methane are at all-time highs. So we are definitely going in the wrong direction. Absolutely going in the wrong direction. The growth rate of methane emissions has been accelerating, which is extremely troubling, said Wolf, now a scientist with Corvallis-based Terrestrial Ecosystems Research Associates, known as Terra. Nitrous oxide, which is potent and long-lived, is also at record high. So other points of concern from the reports note the Earth's average surface temperature is at an all-time high. Ocean acidity and heat content, as well as global average sea level, are at record extremes. Greenland ice mass, Antarctica ice mass, and the average glacier thickness are at all-time lows. 28 amplifying feedback loops, those that exacerbate climate change, such as permafrost thawing, have been identified. In 2023, there were an estimated 2,325 heat-related deaths in the United States alone, 117,000 increase from 1999. And that's not even anything about the rest of the world, like the pilgrimage to Mecca. Since the publication of the 2023 report, multiple climate-related disasters have taken place, including a series of heat waves across Asia that killed more than 1,000 people and led to temperatures reaching 122 degrees Fahrenheit in parts of India, Ripple said. Climate change has already displaced millions of people, with the potential to displace hundreds of millions or even billions. That would likely lead to greater geopolitical instability, possibly even partial societal collapse. And what have we all been saying, at least on this channel and others in the doomosphere? The scientists say their goal is to provide clear evidence-based insights that inspire informed and bold responses from citizens to researchers and world leaders. Specifically, they recommend the rapid adoption of policies that, this is what we'll go through and these are what we're going to talk about. Implement a global carbon price that could limit emissions by the wealthy while potentially providing funding for fossil fuels with low carbon renewables, curb emissions of greenhouse gases, including those categorized as short-term pollutants such as methane, protect and restore biodiverse ecosystems, which play key roles in carbon cycling and storage, my favorite. Encourage a shift toward eating habits that emphasize plant-based food, another favorite. Promote sustainable ecological economics and greatly reduce overconsumption and waste by the wealthy, oh yeah. Integrate climate change education into global curriculums that boost awareness, literacy, and action. So despite 6 reports 6 reports from the IPCC, hundreds of other reports, tens of thousands of scientific papers, and 28 annual meetings of the UN's Conference of the Parties, the world has made little headway, tiny little headway on climate change. Humanity's future depends on creativity, moral fiber, and perseverance. If future generations are to inherit the world they deserve, decisive action is needed fast. This year's meeting, officially the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, will be held November 11th through 27th in Baku, Azerbaijan, and it's imperative that huge progress is made, Ripple said. Okay, so that was technology networks. Now we're going to look at an article that I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing because I gave you the overview of what this is all about. And it's not good. It's not good. And basically it's all in here again. This was from the conversation, and it's going, these are going in all of but not the mainstream media like we would think it should. This should be front page. I mean, yeah, Trump's derangement and his and the election is all over the place. If you talk about Trump, you get 1,000 gazillion views. You talk about this, I've got 62 people watching me. The year is also tracking for the hottest year on record, with a global daily mean temperatures at record levels for nearly half of 2023 and much of 2024. So what's going to happen next month? And we will be following this. World leaders and diplomats will gather in Azerbaijan for the annual COP29. They have to redouble their efforts. So look at that. Global energy consumption by source, exajoules per year. Solar and wind, not that much. Gas, coal, oil, going up. And of course, that's what we are, energy independent. And even Biden said it. We have drilled more than, we have, trying to counter the Republicans. It's almost like a race to the bottom with them. So, compounding the problem is the recent decline in atmospheric aerosols from efforts to cut pollution. These small particles suspend in the air. They come from both natural and human processes, which have helped cool the planet. Without this cooling effort, the pace of global warming may accelerate. We don't know for sure because aerosol properties have yet to be measured well enough. There's a lot of scientists out there doing this work. Leon, forget it. I am just not thinking about last names. But our environmental issues are now feeding into the climate change. Deforestation in critical areas such as the Amazon is reducing the planet's capacity to absorb carbon naturally, driving additional warming. It creates a feedback loop where warming causes trees to die, and that in turn amplifies global temperatures. Yep. Look at this. Look how it looks. It's drying out in Brazil. Loss of sea ice. As the sea ice melts or fails to form, dark seawater is exposed. Ice reflects sunlight, but seawater absorbs it. Scaled up, this changes the Earth's albedo, which is how reflective the surface is, and accelerates warming further. In coming decades, sea level rise will pose a growing threat to coastal communities, which is already happening, and even in non-coastal communities, putting millions of people at risk of displacement. How's that going to go at the border in the United States with Trump's firing squads? So they want to accelerate the solutions. And we already went over that. And I'm going to talk about why I think it's going to be quite an uphill battle. Okay. Now, I do have another article, but I don't know if I want to go over this. I might, because it actually goes in. This is really scary. Trees and land absorb almost no CO2 last year. Is nature's carbon sink failing? The sudden collapse of carbon sinks was not factored into global models and could rapidly accelerate global heating. This is the age of extinction. Look at the phytoplankton in the Barents Sea, melting sea ice. It shows it happening. So I don't want to read the whole thing, but I am going to go down here. We're seeing cracks in the resilience of the Earth's systems. We are seeing massive cracks on land. Terrestrial ecosystems are losing their carbon store and carbon uptake capacity, but the oceans are also showing signs of instability. John Rockstrom, director of Potsdam, told an event in New York at the Climate Week, which is just another bunch of people flying in to talk to each other, just like COP, which is, to me, I hope there's the countries. There are good people in the countries, especially the island nations like Mia Motley, but though they're going to go under. I don't care what COP 20 what happens at COP 29. They're going to go under. We've been lulled. We cannot see the crisis. For the past 12,000 years, the Earth's climate has existed in a fragile equilibrium. Its stable weather patterns allowed development of modern agriculture, which now supports a population of more than 8 billion people. As human emissions rose, the amount absorbed by nature increased also. The amount absorbed by nature to wait, higher carbon dioxide can mean plants grow faster, storing more carbon. But this balance is beginning to shift, driven by rising heat. So we're seeing it's pretty bad. The Congo Basin, one. And they have fighting in the Congo Basin. So it's just a matter of time because the Congo is a mess. Exacerbated by El Nino weather patterns, deforestation, and global heating, the Amazon basin is now experiencing a record breaking drought. Rivers at an all time low, emissions from soil, which is the second largest active carbon store after the oceans, are expected to increase as much as 40% by the end of the century if they continue at the current rate. See who's left. So none of the models have factored any of this in. The flow of carbon through the land and ocean remains one of the least understood parts of climate science, say researchers. While human emissions are increasingly simple to measure, the sheer number and complexity of processes in the natural world mean there are important gaps in our understanding. Satellite technology has improved monitoring of forests, peatland, and permafrost ocean cycles, but assessments and forecasts in the international reports often have large error margins. It's probably worse than we thought. That makes it difficult to predict how the world's natural carbon sinks will behave in the future. And many models do not factor in sudden breakdown of so many multiple ecosystems. So I'm going to leave this one for you guys to read. Well, maybe we'll just go here. What if the natural sinks stop working? Well, what if? They are. The consequences for climate targets are stark. Even a modest weakening of nature's ability to absorb carbon could mean the world would have to make much deeper cuts to greenhouse gas emissions to achieve net zero, which I think is, a bit of, well, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. The weakening of land sinks, which has so far been regional, also has the effect of canceling out nations' progress on decarbonization and progress towards climate goals. So you can read this. It'll be in the show notes. I really want to go on to why I think things are possibly not going to change. Elon Musk to the Murdochs, they have a small number of billionaire owners. They have a powerful hold on so much of the information that reaches the public about what's happening in the world. But of course, The Guardian is different. So that's why The Guardian does put a lot of wonderful articles here. But not mainstream media, and certainly not in the United States. And then in the United States, well, what would happen in the United States? Okay, so we're going to do the interesting part of the show now that I am going to. Well, I've got a lot of videos, and I want to see at sort of almost halftime what you guys are talking about. Hi, Wendy. Hi, James. Took 100,000 years for man to appear in less than 200 years. We altered the atmosphere to say humans are not at fault. Yeah, absolutely. That was a good one. Yeah, of course. But they don't. They don't. Hey, hun. Hi, Dennis. Yeah. All right. So there's a lot of comments here. Don't be afraid if you have any extra to do any super chats, and don't forget to like the channel. And remember, super chats go to running the channel and my cats. And very often I can't monetize because I've used somebody else's stuff, or I get a copyright even if they don't write to me in time to let me use it. Maybe not this show so much. I don't know. I've got videos coming up. So I'm going to show you what I think is one of the number one. What number? Sorry. Gosh, it shouldn't be like that. There's not a way for me to set this up numerically for some reason. I'm going to have to work on this software to find out why I can't set up my stuff. Okay, I'm going to give you one of the number one reasons why I think a lot of this is not going to happen, at least in the United States. So you hang on, okay? My number one reason.
Because a lot of it's BS. There is an entire atmospheric terraforming geoengineering manipulation. They don't call it chemtrails. And of course, the CIA director admitted they have this
number one.
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation owns the major patents on it from Westinghouse and others. They use these big antennas to manipulate the weather. They can, like China is like causing huge rains
like
and stuff.
HARP? Like HARP,
yes, HARP type technology. It's all declassified.
Do you think HARP manipulates the weather?
They admit it does. I used to have the head of HARP, General Benton K. Parton, on all the time. But exactly, there's giant weather modification systems, and there's weather wars between different governments, and it's all declassified.
Let's explain to people that are listening what HARP is. What does it stand for? High altitude.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, they've got a system that supposedly, well, you don't know what HARP really was under its classification?
Oh,
what does it stand
what
for?
is
High
it?
Frequency Active Auroral Research Program.
Yes.
So the idea behind this was they wanted to do research on the aurora, and didn't they want to see if they could communicate using it?
See why I think this is that in the United States and around the world, Alex Jones might be number one in why we're not going to be able to get anything done. Seriously. Because you could see him on a Twitter Spaces and 250,000 people are watching at one time.
Send radio waves.
They wanted
bounce
over
off
the horizon
ionosphere.
radar.
Right. Yeah, that, and they also wanted to be able to send radio signals to places where they wouldn't reach,
HARP
right?
doesn't really go.
But what does that have to do with stratospheric aerosol
HARP
injections?
doesn't really go into the atmosphere.
Well, the speculation,
I know all the HARP
Eddie.
secrets. I've interviewed the private head of it.
Okay,
I actually know the HARP secrets.
Okay.
I don't know why the
HARP
Pentagon
secrets?
decided to let him on my show.
How does HARP work How does HARP work with the chemtrails? What do they?
Let me tell you.
What goes on?
Okay. Only a micronic amount, a small amount of what HARP does is in the atmosphere. It's bouncing off the
Flush.
aurora borealis and then resonating back through
All right, listen. We'll do some flushes. I'll do flushes interruptus. We'll do the first flush. Alex Jones.
deep Earth communication program to satellites and other things through the planet. So it's something so you can communicate to satellites, through the satellites down to submarines.
So here it goes. This is an actual definition, how HARP works. The facility's transmitters send radio waves upward. But hold on, let's just read it first. Waves upwards into the ionosphere between 100 and 350 kilometers of altitude. The resulting heating effect creates irregularities in the electron density there, which in turn allows communication signals as from satellites to be relayed off the ionosphere.
That's not what it.
Now, Jim already discussed this on our last show together about HARP and why this is not happening in a nefarious way. And you can go up there every year to their open house.
Does. Then they can shoot the satellite frequency coded through the Earth to submarines.
Now, what is this website from that
then the
explains
submarine
this, Jamie?
puts up a buoy. You want the real stuff? I'll tell you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Buzz
Nature
Aldrin
magazine.
tell you?
Let me explain something.
Okay, nature.com.
I had the head of the HARP program on.
I'm just fucking with
I got
you.
contacted about 10 years ago, and they said the head of the HARP project really likes your work. He'd like to come on. The interview's online, and he'd like to come on and tell everybody. And about 30 minutes in, a colonel came on the line and said sorry during a break and cut the guy off.
Wow. Dum, dum, dum.
Because a lot of it's being.
All right. I'm going to play now the second reason why I think we're fucked and why we're never going to make any changes.
Hello, I'm just back from Narnia, where I had a holiday, Mr. Tumnus, Aslan, all those guys. And as you know, airports are places full of Wi-Fi and all sorts of evil energies. Think of all the phones out there, all of the signals, corruptible and corrupting. Luckily, I wear this magical amulet from
What a
AirTech
grifter.
that keeps me safe from all of the various signals out there. And also means, look at this, look how strong I am. I think this is making me more powerful, as a matter of fact. Look at that. This stuff is absolutely packed with AirTech. I didn't even bring any socks or toothbrush or dog meat or anything like that. Just completely full of AirTech. You should get one as well, particularly if you're planning to go to an airport anytime soon, because the bloody things are full of lethal signals. AirTech, a glorious amulet to protect you from corrupting signals.
Oh my God. Okay, so that is my second reason why I think we're fucked. All right. And then we're going to move on because, okay, here's another reason why.
Think the Bible should be taught in schools?
Yes.
Yeah?
Most definitely. Because
Yeah.
children have gotten away from that, because they have. And it needs to be put back in all the schools, Catholic schools and public schools.
So you want the Bible back in school. Do you think there are books that should be banned from schools?
Yeah, of course. You don't want pornography, which is what the agenda is these days, is to put pornography into our schools. That is gravely.
There was a
Lots
book
of
that
pornography
has
in the
a story
school.
of two daughters getting their father
Oh,
drunk
shit.
and having sex with them. Would you want that in a school?
No, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah, of course
no.
not. Of course not.
No,
That's
that's
outrageous.
the devil's work. We don't want the devil's work in school.
Well, there you have it. Talk to some people who want the Bible taught in school, but also want the Bible banned in school.
Okay, so that's another group of people that I think are why we're never going to get any of the things we want, because they are American voters. They are. Okay, here we go.
The U.S. government is engineering hurricanes, folks. Yeah, that's what the far-right swamp of Trump supporters on Twitter is pushing to its legion of followers as Hurricane Milton approaches. Here's one from Matt Wallace. Quote, rumors are circulating about the strange-looking NOAA data collection plane flight pattern through Hurricane Milton, unquote. But that's what NOAA planes do. They collect data on hurricanes, and the best time to do that is when hurricanes happen. We call it hurricane season. A private equity manager and Trump supporter Grant Cardone tweeted this, quote, I grew up on the Gulf of Mexico. Been watching storms since I was a young boy. I have never seen a storm start here and go east. Do you think government is using technology to manipulate weather patterns and storms? Unquote. And this account, which often goes viral during major events, tweeted, quote, they just transformed the originally benign tropical depression that is now Category 5 Hurricane Milton insane, unquote. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is also suggesting this as a targeting of regions with Trump voters. Yes, geoengineering capabilities exist, but no, that's not what's being done. There's just no evidence of that. The fact is, climate change is real.
So there's another one. And I set these all up because these are all the reasons why Nothing is going to happen.
And they're so into this climate hoax. And nobody's more into the climate than I am, but this is a climate hoax, what they do.
A hoax?
It's a hoax.
Explain that.
Destroy our country.
It's a total hoax from beginning to end, do you think?
Well, the Green New Deal is a hoax.
Yeah, but
it was
what about
created
climate
by somebody
change?
that I don't even think ever took a course in the environment.
Is the climate Is the climate changing because of human activity?
In my opinion, you have a thing called weather. And you go down. If you look into the 1920s, they were talking about global freezing. Okay, in other words, the globe was going to freeze. And then they go global warming.
The 1920s, what a clueless moron he is.
Then they couldn't use that because the temperatures were actually quite cool. And many different things. So now they just talk about climate change. The climate's always been changing.
Oh my God, that's the standard fare. The standard fare. He's okay. Now we're going to move up to Stu Peters. Stu Peters, who's associated with Alex.
And this time it was a category 3 that hit out of nowhere. Again, no one knew it was coming. This is unheard of. And this one was even incredibly different in the terms that it was a category 3. It came in, it hit Acapulco, it did a lot of damage. It fizzled out, and everyone thought it was over. But then it went back out into the ocean and turned into a hurricane again and hit Acapulco again, dropping over a meter of water in a couple of days on Acapulco with unbelievable floods, like whitewater rafting, although it was brown water, rafting in the entire city of Acapulco. It's still
So wait a minute,
lot of it's underwater.
You're saying that this thing was coming in and then it just stopped because it wasn't very strong. It turned around. It like did a 180, it gained more strength, and then it did another 180 and turned back around and slammed into Mexico? Is that what you're telling me?
That's what happened. And meteorologists are, again, amazed and shocked at how this could happen. They've never seen anything like that
baffled.
happen
Yeah, they have no idea how any of this could happen. They're just completely shocked and baffled.
Yeah, it's the exact same sort of a thing. This is, for people out there who have still not caught on, that the globalists and whatever you want to call them, the Jews, the globalists, whatever you want to call them.
The Jews!
The CIA, all these.
Did you hear it? Did you hear the anti-Semitism? Because it's ripe. The Jews. I'm waiting for the N-word next.
People. They have this technology and they are using it full force now.
Right out there in the open, guys.
Ways. And Acapulco is the perfect example of how they've been doing this. There's never been a category 5 that's erupted out of nowhere with no warning and hit a major city before. And then a category 3 that hit, fizzled out, went back on the ocean and hit again and flooded the entire city. For people who want to look into weather weapons and things like that, Acapulco should be the #1 thing they'd be looking at, because it's now been hit by 3 hurricanes in less than a year, but one was the same one, which has also never happened. And meteorologists, again, were saying, we've never seen this happen.
The real Stu Peters. Yep. And obviously they're on Rumble because they are racist pieces of shit, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's not even, it's the conspiracy, the globalists, all that bullshit. Oh, man. It's just, so these are my reasons why we're never going to get anywhere. Totally. All right, so where were we? We were at, did we go to this guy? Wait, hey, wait. Okay.
Hurricane Milton's on its way.
Oh, he's good.
It's going to be a big one.
This is a good break.
I can't tell you if it's going to be a 2 or a 4, but it's definitely going to fucking smash
I like
Florida.
this guy.
And for all of you FEMA denialists out there, all you climate change denialists, all you fucking MAGA chuds, can you please just do me a favor and shut the fuck up? Because when Milton comes, just after Helene did all that fucking destruction, and FEMA is helping, just remember it's your fucking governors and your fucking MAGA constituents that are spreading the lies, that are voting against FEMA fucking federal funding. Just remember that when Milton does come to Florida and smashes the fuck out of it, all you MAGA chuds out there who are fucking complaining and blaming FEMA, they'll be helping you. And you'll quietly thank them and then turn around and fucking lie right to their face. You are despicable. You fucking suck. Because there's a lot of suffering going on right now, and the last thing we need is a bunch of fucking liars spreading dangerous misinformation. Give it a fucking rest. Donald Trump, let me go ahead and finish with this. He's a fucking 34 times convicted felon. He's not a victim. You are not defending a victim. You are defending a fucking criminal.
I so want this guy to come by and have a conversation with.
The reason why the guardrails of this fucking nation never ever had to worry about presidential immunity is because we've never had a president in our history be such a fucking full-sale traitor, grifter, con man, exploiting the United States government for his own fucking gain. It's despicable. You're an embarrassment to this fucking country and to the world over. They hold their breath, waiting for November 5th. We the people are going to save this fucking world from the MAGA scourge. You can fucking lie about federal assistance for a hurricane. You can deny the rights of women. You can other the LGBTQ community. You can other the black and the brown community.
He's good.
Your version of America is sickening. It's disgusting. It is the most
I'll put his name in the show notes.
Democratic notion, concept.
See? Dagger Street.
What you have is a blueprint for fucking fascism. There's 14 bullet points. I suggest you read them all and recognize that you checked every fucking box on the list. Fuck MAGA. Get ready for Milton.
Fuck MAGA.
And to the people up in North Carolina and Georgia and Tennessee who are affected by Helene.
Fuck MAGA. Fuck MAGA. Fuck MAGA.
FEMA's there for you. So are the people. But if you're a MAGA chud and you're still saying this bullshit,
I loved him.
I'm not going to say you deserve what you get. Nobody deserves this.
I think it's Dagger Streetwear. That was it. Dagger Streetwear. All right. As we move on for reasons why, he gave us a good reason, currently why things could change, right? All right. Let me see if this one.
But they think about global warming, which is now called climate change, because global warming doesn't work anymore, because it's actually cooling. It worked for a few seasons, but now it's not working. So climate change, a much better term because that covers everything. Warming.
Okay, I think my camera's a little fuzzy. Something happened to it. All right, let's move on. That's the wonderful guy. Yeah. Now what we're going to move on to is we're going to look at this guy.
On is his comments about women, because of course, as we've talked, this is a gender election, and you'll be unsurprised to hear that J.D. Vance doubled down on some provocative thoughts about women who don't have children. Take a listen. So women who don't have children because they're worried about climate change, that's sociopathic?
I think that is a bizarre way of thinking about the future. Not to have kids because of concerns over climate change. I think the more bizarre thing is our leadership, who encourages young women and frankly young men to think about it that way.
I have to say, he's doubled down on bashing women, and now he's also going after the people who are concerned about climate change.
Yes, he managed to unify those two groups.
Just keep having more babies and let's populate the planet till we bust off the seams like we are now.
Change people and women who might not want to have children into a package. This is something he clearly believes. I pressed him on this because his favorables with women are very low. His favorables generally are quite low. And he really doubled down on this idea that it is important for women in this country to be parents, to have children. He considers it, I think, a moral duty.
All right. So I think I may have Oh, okay. Now we're going to move into, well, let me see which one this was.
Global warming is a fraud. It is worse than a fraud. It is worse than a fraud because we're being told that CO2 that we, and human behavior that creates CO2 is changing the climate of the planet. Now, the reason this argument is being made is to excuse them and give them an excuse to control our behavior. That's all it is. If indeed human behavior is changing the climate, thus we should have a right to control human behavior. Let's put that in words for. Then we have a right to take away your freedom and tell you what to do. That's what it's all about.
Oh, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. All right. So we got that guy, and I think I have one more. You think any of these people are going to believe in anything about the planet changing? We are fucked. All right. So you think, look at them. And this is proliferated all over. Do you think any of these people are going to go? They listen to Fox, OAN, Newsmax, constantly getting bombarded with bullshit. And then when something like this happens, they think it's weather warfare. Look at that. This was drone footage showing the damage from Acapulco, which is now pretty much wrecked, which in the United States, everybody was talking about about North Carolina and talking about Florida, but we forget about the rest of the world in the United States. Really, really sad. And we saw all of the videos from North Carolina. They've been on all over YouTube. It's just extremely sad. So I really think that's all I have for that. Pretty much, didn't I? Did I play
The U.S.
everything?
government is engineering hurricanes.
Yeah, I did them all. All right, I'm coming back to you, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what we saw. Yeah, man, I'm coming back. Hang on. All right. Let's do some comments. I had one that was here. Let's see here. In all fairness, yes, the climate is always changing. We should agree with that, but ask, how fast does the climate change? That's always something I hear from people that watch those channels like my daughter's father. The climate's always changing, not understanding any of the science behind it and what we've done, because it's very hard for people like that to understand that we may have done this and that CO2 and our lifestyles and overshoot has done this. A lot of people, they don't have the capacity. And in the age of social media, there is so much gaslighting, brainwashing, and manipulating, and misinformation and disinformation. How really is the United States in particular going to implement the changes that Dr. Ripple and all the wonderful scientists are suggesting when we can't even get people to agree that anything is happening, and that when there are storms, It's weather manipulation. How is that ever going to happen? I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to be upbeat. I love all of the environmental ecological projects. Anything that's going to rewild. I had the idea that, and I didn't even know about this, that mangroves should be planted and all kinds of vegetation all over the Florida coast. Get rid of all the cement, get rid of the buildings, and give a natural barrier to the sea level rise. And get the hell rid of all those people. But it's the crane state. Florida is the crane state. And as long as it's the crane state, it's not going to change. I made a video about that many years ago when I went to Florida. It was the crane state. I showed you. And during this last storm, Milton, a crane fell, boom, right into a building. And the day before, I was watching Florida WFLA, and this woman was saying, "Gee, I live in a building, and those cranes are there. Should I be scared?" And guess what? Lo and behold, the same crane fell. Same crane. And you know what? Going south, I see what you're saying, but you're not going to trigger me, buddy. No, you won't trigger me. No. We have somebody new. Hello, Vote Tron. All right. Well, welcome, Vote Tron. Yeah, Deborah, not the kind of trains. I said that. My video, I should have queued it up. Not the cranes that fly away. I call it Florida's the cranes state and not the bird. Yeah. I also had another one I wanted to play that was my last year's Halloween video about climate deniers, because that's a whole other contingency that the Heartland Institute and all of the fossil fuel funneled money to people. And I believe those are people like, and I don't care what anybody says, Dane Wigington and all the rest of them. Fossil fuel industry is very strong. So is CPAC. And so all the money that's going to the Reich wing, to try to keep them in power is definitely having it's having an effect. Everybody wants to talk about APEC, but you forget about CPAC and Project 2025, and we'll have to do another show on another chapter before the election. We already did chapter 13. We did the fact that they would love to get rid of the NOAA, get rid of the National Weather Service, the Hurricane Center, right in time for the hurricanes, correct? Yeah. And so that would be quite not cool. Nope. So let's look at your comments and all hands on deck, huh? All hands on deck. Vote Tron. Let's vote for Tron. Okay, Alex wants me to do the second flush of the night. All right, we'll flush Heartland. I don't mind flushing them. I've done videos on them. If I had the time to download that video and play it, I would pull it up, but I'll do it for another show. Hi, Steph. Even if the weather's being made worse on purpose, the action to take is the same. We still need to reduce how much we do and to help restore what we can and help one another get through these events. Although I don't think the weather is being made worse on purpose, nefariously. No. Right? If Harris and Biden controlled Helene, it would have flattened Mar-a-Lago, of course. Yeah. Well, I hope I gave you food for thought. Hi, Steph. Hello, Steph. There she is. And there's a lot of hello, M9078JK3. That sounds like a David Bowie song. M9078JK3. Yeah. There, we've got our David Bowie song here tonight. All right, let's see. Man is the most insane species. He worships an invisible God and destroys a visible nature, unaware that this nature he's destroying, is this God he's worshiping. Beautiful. I really like that one. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Humans are not affecting the weather. Then, oh gosh, humans are controlling the weather. Ah! Okay. Right. That was totally too loud. All right. Well, anyway. All right. Well, guess what? We are less than an hour, and that's pretty good. Yes, I am officially nuts. And it's probably just going to get worse until after the election. And then I have to figure out, well, we all have to think about how are we going to live our life if Trump wins and then J.D. Vance is made our fascist president, because believe it or not, it ain't Bill Gates buying all of the farmland. It's J.D. Vance and all the tech billionaires. They're buying the farmland in the United States. I found more about that. I put it on my regular Facebook. So, are you really? Oh, really? You're Vita Sapien. All right. We did a show with him. Well, that's cool. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. Hello, Jupiter Judy. Hello, Benny Loco. Benny Loco, Jupiter Judy. It's really, yeah. Yeah, I know. It's scary. Maybe you think months. Well, I'm going to vote early. Send Elmo to Mars. Well, listen, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. It has been a pleasure. It was a very serious topic, but I had to put my own spin. But even if Paul and even if Sam and even if, so many people did a show on the report, it was my turn to do it my way. And that was showing you why I think it's going to be very hard for the Council of the Parties, which will be the ultra-capitalist tech show, actually. I mean, I really like some people. I really do like some people that go, I really do. And we'll see how it goes. And definitely we will bring Antonio to analyze the COP this year. So I'm going to start playing my music, and we're going to go out with a little bit of, move around music. Come on, we got to exercise, get some moving in. I'll see you Friday night. I actually don't know who's going to be on with me, but it is what it is, guys, and I love you. I'm very behind because I have so much to do here. But it's going to be nice next week. I'll get to finish the garden beds. And thank you. Thank you. Peace, which is really what we want. We want peace. Yes, we do.